President Biden there for just about 5 minutes. I want to bring in Blake and Kellie. Question right off the bat. Kellie, he did not take questions. We heard them shouting questions. We knew they were going to shout questions. He did not shout questions. There was a number of notes that I was taking. He said this says there's virtually no limits on what a president can do. He went on to say this fundamentally changes the presidency, if you will. Can you tell me your reaction?
And I think, look, it just re-energizes his campaign, his push, as he mentioned there, towards the end of his remarks, that this is really, get American people to the polls in November. Let them decide what they think about this. So this is really making this push for his campaign to look towards November to re-energize voters ahead of this. But it's interesting because now that pre-election trial looks unlikely with the way things went down today. So that would have opened up an opportunity for independents or undecideds to maybe, make the case there to those voters to go over to the Biden camp. So now they don't have that potentially. So he's really trying to make this push for them to go to the polls. He's saying Americans dissent, I dissent, really making that push there, Elizabeth.
Blake, I had Chris Hahn on the show earlier, and he said that he wants more impromptu President Biden, more answering questions, more out there, being on his feet and being able to speak. Your take on the fact that he didn't take reporters' questions, and also some of his comments about, power is limited, not absolute, but is it absolute now?
So here's what I took away from that. What has worked, Elizabeth, for Democrats, no matter what you think about abortion, whether you are for it or against it, we're not going to change your mind. You have your thought. You cannot argue that what has been successful for Democrats hasn't been going after the Supreme Court. They have been extremely successful. All across this country, we have seen it in races time and time again on that issue after the decision that the Supreme Court made. Why am I talking about that? Because what we just saw from President Biden right there is, once again, going after the Supreme Court. In this case, a much different issue. Much different, right? But we have seen it work on that specific issue for Democrats. And what you just saw out of the president today, after his first time in front of the cameras after the debate, is once again highlight an issue from the Supreme Court. And I just wonder, Elizabeth, as we sit here and watch this and take it all in, if that is going to be part of the strategy for this president, which is on the issue that they have done well on, attack that issue and highlight what the court has done, and then separately on this issue, bring it back to the ruling today and try to make the case. This is what Donald Trump did in 2016, right? He put out that list of Supreme Court justices, and that helped get him elected in 2017. So here we are in 2024, and I think you potentially might see that on the other side of the aisle with the president using the Supreme Court as a foe for Democrats.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.